If you want to hear and see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and follow. You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're wanting to elevate your MMA game. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to increase your fight IQ, start training jiu-jitsu. I'd like to welcome Irfan Alam to my podcast. Hi, Irfan. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Lou. How are you? You all good?
I am very good. Now, that's not like you because we met at Quatrolinhas not very long ago. Was it end
it was
of August?
Yes, the 29th. No, the 30th. 30th. I should have known that better. It's the 30th of August.
That was up in Chesham and Quatrolinhas, which was an incredible event, number 2. And I was so engrossed in the matches. I took my son-in-law on to watch, and he was like, "Mum, you see those guys on the stage? They're having more fun than the guys on the mats." And I was like, "Oh, okay, but I'm watching the matches, shush." Anyway, I switched my attention to watch you and Gio, and it was just incredible. The energy that you two had on that event was just incredible. Tell me about Quatrolinhas.
Honestly, it's incredible. Me and Gio, we are a dynamic duo. We come in pairs, and we know what we're doing. So Quatrolinhas is an event, and it's actually an event by my coach and his friend Paul, a teammate of mine. Incredible event. It started off as a clothing company, and they just built it up into an actual show because my coach, David Lee, he actually ran MMA events before in the Watford Coliseum, and he has been meaning to get back into the show business once again, like the combat sports scene. He meant to come back, and I think so he's expressed time and time again that what he wanted to do was make like essentially a road to Polaris, essentially, because there's all these big grappling shows, but there's no little not necessarily stepping stone, but there's no build up, there's no ladder up to there. You basically have to be already like a top name to get there, but there's no build up. So Quatrolinhas acts as that. It helps people on the smaller stages build their way up to the big great grappling shows. And we like to spice it up a little bit by removing the point systems, like essentially in everything except for the mount. By removing that point system, we create some very, very quick pace matches, and it's paid off really well. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out.
It's incredible. So this is your second outing as a presenter. Talk to me about how you managed to get into presenting, because your jiu-jitsu career has kind of been on and off in the early days, but for 4 years. But you have a martial arts background before that. But talk to me about the presenting bit, and we'll kind of flip back and do those other bits.
Yeah, definitely. So I've always been someone who likes to talk, and everyone that knows me knows that it's very difficult to get me to shut up as a person. So from that perspective, my coach knew how outgoing I can be and how quick with words I can be as well. I can sometimes be a bit witty. I can just like I can speak, I can talk, and I'm quick with my thoughts. So my coach graciously, and God bless the man because he has done so much for me and my team, he gave me the opportunity to present. And that first event, I was nervous because it was my first ever time presenting like that. But then, well, not necessarily. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. It's my first time presenting in that context, because I have done other presentations before, because obviously I used to work as an animal conservation center. So I used to present animal presentations all the time. But now doing it in combat sports context was completely new to me, having an audience like that. But as soon as I started, it felt like riding an old bike. And even though I hadn't done that in particular before, it was exhilarating. And the second time around doing it, I don't know, I kicked myself into gear, and I was just on it this time around.
You were on fire. You were on fire, Irfan, which was just... It was really good, and the energy was high, and it just kept increasing right to the end. And I thought, I don't actually want to go home yet. And when everyone kind of gone, I was like loitering and met up with a number of people, and some of my previous guests, Cara and Daniela, were there. I'm still waiting to get on some of the other ladies and some of the guys, of course. But it's just the community vibe after a show is just
unreal.
incredible.
It's honestly like a family gathering in a sense, the way that everyone just talks to each other. There's like, because here's the thing, something that I find a lot in combat sports shows, sometimes, like especially in like regional MMA, I find sometimes the audience, they'll have fights amongst themselves. Oh, your guy's fighting my guy, I hate you. And like, it's absolutely ridiculous sometimes, especially once they start getting drunk. But yeah, after Quatrolinhas, it was just so smooth. Everyone was so amicable, and it was incredible to watch. And it was incredible to be a part of, just seeing the way that everyone just came together, and it was just so fun as an event.
Yeah. Okay, now let's dial back some of the fun, or maybe not, because this is episode 99, which is incredibly exciting. When I first started, like you, I've got a speaking career in my past, lots of different things, which I'm sure, no one wants to hear about anyway. But starting the podcast, I was inspired just to go, well, let's combine my tech knowledge, my speaking stuff, and I train jiu-jitsu, so why not put it all together and push out a podcast? I can do it.
Absolutely.
So from idea to kind of launch, it was less than 2 weeks, and we were live, which is been a journey. Obviously now on 99, but it's just having that energy and the idea and putting it all together. And obviously with your martial arts background and your jiu-jitsu background and your sense of humor, your fire, your energy, all of the stuff coming together for your kind of presentation. But let's talk about you starting jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I mentioned previously, but obviously I didn't start off as a grappler. I started off my martial arts journey as a striker. So I started off martial arts around the age of 9. So this was an effort by my parents to stop me from getting into fights at school every day, because me being the person I was, people not understanding ADHD and me not being diagnosed at the time, obviously that led to me being some sort of a social outcast. And then as a result of that, the fights were endless. Parents being called into school every day. Oh, Irfan got into another fight, this, that. And they signed me up to Taekwondo to get some of that, the young rage out. And that was the start. But then I felt like just using my legs to attack, I felt very limited. So I went up a level. So when I turned 13, I joined a Muay Thai gym, the Knowsley Academy in Burnt Oak. Incredible gym, incredible people. And then that's where I started my Muay Thai journey. And from then on, I felt like I was missing something else. And then I realized what that final piece of the puzzle was the grappling, because I started watching the UFC. I remember my first ever live event that I watched, TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. And just watching the whole event, watching GSP choke out Michael Bisping, I was like, okay, this grappling stuff is what I need. So I taught myself a little bit of grappling, and it was obviously very crap. You can't learn grappling by yourself. I'll put that right there. You don't even bother trying to learn by yourself. You need a gym. So I started off the jiu-jitsu at Crossface. So I started my MMA journey, my grappling journey at Crossface when I turned 18. And from there, it was a bit on and off at the beginning, because obviously I had college, I had work, and I just struggled to fit it all in. But since leaving college and since getting a healthier life to work ratio, I've just, the past 2 years, I've been in the gym basically every day. And I've had a few amateur fights now. And I'm just, nice. It's incredible the way martial arts, MMA, grappling, and jiu-jitsu has elevated me. Has just been so great. And I never thought I'd be that comfortable fighting off my back a day in my life. But nowadays I'm finding my guard is my safe space most of the time. Like, it's just one of them ones.
Okay, now I was gathering that you were a guard player. I have, people on both sides of the guard play and not so much guard play. But you mentioned about teaching yourself grappling. What did that look like, Irfan?
Am I allowed to swear?
This is a family show, and it's episode 99.
No worries. It was very bad.
Okay,
So,
but what did you do?
so I just looked up like various tutorials. So I just looked.
Okay.
So I learned the basics. I learned a guard. I learned a mount. I learned side control. These my technique wasn't very ideal, but I just learned basic transitions. I learned a few submissions. My main ones that I learned by myself were like the Kimura. I learned my rear naked choke and everything. But then obviously you can only get so far by trying to teach yourself. So first time joining an actual gym that had real grappling, I was like, just every day was like being like just ragdolled, flatlined, happy days. But that's just the price of knowledge. So it was an amazing and humbling learning curve, because I was going into the gym. I don't know, I went in like any other hothead goes into an MMA gym. It's like, I'm going to be the next big thing and everything. And to get your just like head handed to you on a silver platter, it's just okay, appreciate it. And getting neck cranked for the first time, it's like, okay, this is what it's about. So it was like, I definitely needed a bit of humbling, because I definitely have a bit of an ego problem as well. So and that's another thing that I learned to tame with martial arts and MMA in particular, and just like learning levels and being humble enough whilst also being confident, not being either side of the spectrum. Because what I find, people like us, we're either overconfident and overzealous, or we're just completely just zero confidence whatsoever. So it's just finding that healthy balance of ego and humble, like humility. So it was a spiritual, a physical, emotional. It's been a journey of everything. Martial arts is not just a physical sport. It encompasses everything that it means to be human. So that's something to bear in mind, because martial arts is, especially sports like MMA, so often we're thought of as just mindless thugs and gladiators, that no one actually stops to think about the physical, emotional, mental toll it can have on the athletes that perform it.
So, Irfan, you mentioned about being able to identify the gaps in your game, and knowing from striking that you were missing your ground game. But it sounds like I find it quite intriguing to know, or to hear, that you're able to see the gaps and know the gaps, and then go, this is how I fix it. Does that kind of happen in other areas of your life as well?
Absolutely, because I tend to reflect a lot, because obviously with my brain, it never shuts off. It's always just a constant like barrage of thoughts, and it can be very overwhelming at times. But nowadays, all I can seem to think about is my like athletic journey and what it means to be a fighter. And by pointing out, like, if I've had like a rough day with sparring, if I've had a rough day with rolling, I think, okay, which position did I get stuck in? What position do I need to work my way out of? Should I really be playing guard against someone who knows what they're doing? Like, I think my biggest habit right now is trying to get out of guard playing so much, because that's how I won my last fight, in all fairness. But like, it shouldn't be something I get accustomed to, because especially in an MMA sense, if I play guard too much, I'll just get my face pounded. And so I've just got to watch out on that front. But there's definitely a lot of reflection that goes into it. It's putting my mind and my physical being into like almost in like some sort of like unity and harmony, just just taking control of my body, not letting that fight or flight overtake, not just going off pure instinct, actually thinking about that chess match that is happening in front of me. So it's a lot. It's fast paced. You've got to think on your feet so much, and the reflection's a big part of that.
I am reflecting right now, Irfan, and going, oh my goodness, you're 22, you're a white belt, you've got kind of a host of martial arts experience. You are so focused and so kind of driven for all of this. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
I love listening to people, especially like you, talk about your journey and your story. And I kind of think about how when you're speaking, how I operate, and the fact that I don't operate in some of those ways, and go, oh, that would be really helpful. Maybe if I reflected more, or if I was to be more strategic about my moves and my concepts, and linking everything together. We'll all get there one day.
Absolutely. And I looked into a bit of your journey and I was so impressed to see from where you started. Like the weight loss has been incredible, by the way. I'm so impressed. Like that was absolutely, I was like, oh my God, she did that.
I used to comment about me. Come on.
No, it should be. This is your podcast. Come on, I have a right. I get to say what I appreciate. So I'm very, very impressed by your journey. So like that's absolutely incredible. People should be proud. You should be proud of yourself. So that's something I needed to tell you. So
oh, thank you, Irfan.
But yeah, that's all right.
Really lovely. It has been one heck of a journey, but like you say, we take things day by day. We do underappreciate our journey until someone reflects back at us. So it's all a thing.
I mean, I look back at my journey, like genuinely going from the points that I was at in my life and going from, especially when I was my first 2 fights. Now, obviously, I've had 3 fights, but my first 2 I lost. My second one I lost in such a bad way. It's the first ever and the only Suliov stretch submission loss in UK MMA history. So I lost by such a rare submission, and I was plastered all over these big MMA pages, and I was just there, like especially because like I said, I have a bit of an ego problem sometimes. So I know how good I can be, but because I was so complacent in my first 2 fights, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, because I know how good I could be. I know how good I am once I've like actually worked, but having talent without harnessing it and without actually putting in the training, it's just wasted potential. So I learned my lesson, and in my 3rd fight, thank God that it went the way I planned, and even better. I had a really dominant 3 rounds, and in the last 10 seconds of the fight, I just threw up a triangle and I submitted him. So that's nice. So it's all a journey of self-reflection, because if you don't reflect, there's nothing you can do. You have to. I strive for constant progression, and I think one of my, it's not necessarily unhealthy, but it's definitely obsessive for me. It's just, how can I be better? What can I do to be better? Trying to be the man that I believe God has destined for me to be. It's just trying to fit into that mold.
On Saturday, the 25th of October, 2025, we have the Celebration Grand Prix and Open Mat, kindly supported and hosted by Rising Tide BJJ in Weston-super-Mare. We have Combat Sports Hygiene supplying hygiene spray, and they have also put up some prize money for the fastest submission of the Grand Prix. We have also recently partnered with Adapt to design and develop the latest Jiu Jitsu Lube podcast, Rash Guard. Very, very limited edition. We have digit tape to keep our grip during those gi and no gi rounds. We have 2 chefs supplying protein snacks for the day. Women That Fight are supplying a voucher for 1 winner. On Point Apparel are sending over a training bottle and beanie. Freshly Baked have donated 1 of their mystery bags. Common Ground are donating some kit. Matter BJJ are kindly supporting some of the additional merch and medals for the event. They are the go-to site to find BJJ gyms across the UK. We also have Clinch Coffee supplying some coffee and a hoodie as prizes. And Zager at Bruce House is supplying a t-shirt. So get yourself down to Weston-super-Mare on Saturday, the 25th of October from 1 p.m. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. This is the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. We have the 100th episode event next week, if you're listening to this, on the 18th of October. It is going to be at Rising Tide Brazilian Jiu Jitsu over in Weston-super-Mare. It's going to be an open mat. There is going to be a Grand Prix, 8 women, 8 men. There is prize money. It will be incredible. Come along from 1 p.m. and follow all the socials and just find out what is going on, because I would love to see you, and many of my guests that have been on the show may well be there too. So if you'd love to meet them, that would be incredible. And as always, go and check out the clips on YouTube and Instagram. Today I'm having a conversation with Irfan Alam. Irfan, I love your energy and thank you for reflecting on my journey. 99 at the beginning, I never thought I would, maybe get 5 episodes in, But when you said about wanting to be better, the threshold for podcasts kind of getting anywhere is 7 episodes, Ifran, and pretty much very, very few ever get to 100. And actually, that for me, in the back of my mind, now I'm reflecting, was probably one of my goals. I record in advance. I don't have any set questions. I connect with people like you that I just want to talk with and hear about their journey. So it's all off the cuff. We're all playing this game and learning along the way. And I never really know what I'm going to face. But this is a great conversation. And I've had so many great conversations. But let's come back to some of your ADHD challenges with jiu-jitsu and how you find jiu-jitsu helping your own personal growth as a human being.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like jiu-jitsu, it's so fast-paced. It actually complements the way that my brain works, because my brain is never in one space at a time. Now, obviously, sometimes during the demos, I end up getting lost like a Rottweiler looking at butterflies. It's just like, it just gets to that situation. It's like, ooh, what's going on here? But the fast pace, especially when we're live, especially when we're rolling, it's just okay, I'm in this position. Ooh, what if I did this? And then like, it's just this constant. It just complements the way my brain works so well, and I feel like so many people could benefit and do benefit from jiu-jitsu. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for example, I've been the past few weeks, I was scheduled to fight, but unfortunately with a concussion, I had to pull out. Obviously health comes first, but not being able to like roll at all, not being able to spar, it puts such a down on my mental health. It's definitely been a big challenge for me, but just being able, but thankfully I've started to roll again, and just, oh my God, it's so exhilarating. It's like, it's euphoric in a way. Like, there's no real comparative feeling to being able to exhibit at the end of the day, they're natural human behaviors, because I feel like not necessarily violence, but combat is in human nature. We're wild animals at the end of the day. And to be able to domesticate violence the way we have, to be able to tame it and to turn it into an art instead, is just something so beautiful. And a lot of people don't really seem to understand. I've heard people say that martial arts are satanic. I've heard that people say martial arts are evil, but people don't realize just the beauty of the way that the human body flows and the way that we can harness every limb in a way that we could like cause damage, but we don't. Like, obviously it's consensual violence. Consensual violence is art, and it's just such an amazing thing. So it's a beautiful, beautiful sport.
Thank you for that share. And I think, you are so articulate in how you describe jiu-jitsu. But I just want to jump back to your kind of presentation work now, because what preparation do you do for the matches, especially the Quatrolinhas ones? And what research do you do? What can fighters expect when you talk to them with a mic in the middle of the mats after their fight?
Now, funnily enough, I just wing it most of the time. So it's like I don't have like a little notebook or anything. The only thing I do is I pray to God. I look at the names and I'm like, all right, I pray to God that I pronounce this right. So that's my thing, because I like to keep it raw. I like to keep it real. I like to relate to what the audience are feeling. I like to ask the questions that I think that everyone else wants to hear. So whilst I'm watching the matches, I'm looking at what is a highlight for me, what is a highlight, and what is possibly something subtle that other people may not have noticed, and I can build up on it and get people thinking like, oh, how did I miss that? That actually sounds quite interesting. And then they watch back the matches and like, oh my God, that's actually a really fine detail. Like, actually that I didn't notice that. So it's really just all off the cuff stuff. And I like to, because I'm also a fan of the sport, I'm asking it from the scope of the lens of a fan. And that's what we need more of. I hate nothing more than watching post-fight interviews and stuff, and then I just hear this person that probably works at TMZ or something and just like droning on about, how you like the punch? It's very, very good. And I'm just like, this isn't exciting. You're not asking any questions I want to hear. I don't want to know, like, I don't know, how do you find having longer arms? I don't care. I want to know what you were thinking in the moment. Like, I want to ask, I want fan questions being answered. So that's what I want to bring. I want to bring that energy. I want to maintain that hype, and I want to match the fighters' energy as well. Because sometimes I have, in some of the interviews that I've held, I've had people who have maybe been out of the sport for a while, and they're a bit more mellow about it. And I'm just there like, this is your moment. Enjoy it. Like, I want to elevate people, especially if they've worked as hard as they have, because some of these people have been training months, gone through so many, like countless injuries, been through so much setbacks, and to have your hand raised is a feeling that not many people, it's less than 0.1% of the world's population can understand the euphoria and the joy that you feel once you get that hand raised. So it's just something that I really want to highlight, especially in a combat sports setting.
So with all this energy, Irfan, how do you kind of dial back and kind of take a time to kind of chill, or don't you? What does your energy look like? You know, we all have peaks, we all have troughs, but how do you manage your calm time, if you have any?
I'll be real, my whole day's hectic. So when I'm not training, I'm working. When I'm not working, I'm training. So I definitely do need to make space for calm time, because right now I don't have any. So right now I'm also a driving instructor, so I'm not, my God, sometimes it's terrifying. I'll be real. Some of these students, they scare me. I have people that try to drive over roundabouts. I have people that like try driving into barriers. I'm just like, oh my God, help me. So I don't really have calm. I definitely do need calm though, because I feel like with how hectic my life can be, I'm very prone to burnout, and I'm very prone to crashes as well. Especially like, even though it's not even like winter yet. I'm pretty prone to like seasonal depression, so I do crash quite significantly. So I definitely encompass all the extremes, but when I'm speaking to people, it definitely seems to just like fade away a bit, because I get to focus on something else other than how tired I'm feeling. I don't sleep that well normally either, which I definitely should be. My coach will kill me if he finds out I'm not sleeping well enough.
No, look, this is all about keeping us kind of living well and balanced, and
Absolutely.
and that's the art of jiu-jitsu. And I think we all need to find ways to, you know, have some downtime and have our kind of peak moments and enjoy training jiu-jitsu. And I'm a master's for, so much older than you, Efran. And for me, it's about wanting to continue training for as long as possible. I love my 20s. I was out and about, traveling the world, doing all sorts of incredible things. But now, kind of approaching 50, it's just about doing what I love for as long as possible, and in the best possible way. So I think over time you'll find those ways to.
I mean, funny enough, I do have like a hobby that I don't get to do enough. I am a wildlife photographer as well, so I spend my time in nature as much as possible. Like just going somewhere, because it's a bit weird. Like, I've always had that connection with animals, especially at a young age when no one else understands you. I feel a lot more connected to nature, where I feel like wild animals were the closest thing that I had that kind of understood me in a sense. So wildlife photography is definitely one of my passions, like places like Bentham Cliffs and stuff like that. Just seeing migrations happen. I'm just such a fanatic when it comes to animals. Sometimes in summer, I mean, I haven't had much time because I'm obviously working full time, but I go to Richmond Park, catch some wild snakes and stuff. Just like that's just my kind of thing. And thank God I'm going on my like first holiday in like years. By the time this episode comes out, I'll probably already be gone. I'm going to Ericeira in Portugal, so I'm definitely hunting for snakes there. I'm going to catch some. I'm going to like present in all my glory.
I love that. Ifran, I'm mindful that there may well be people listening that have an ADHD diagnosis and may well be kind of, you know, trying to understand themselves a bit more. What for you has kind of been the biggest learning point in your life so far? And you're still incredibly young, but What insight can you give from your perspective to anyone listening?
I've definitely been a very angry person throughout my life, especially not understanding who I am, not understanding why I am the way I am. Because as much as obviously sometimes the ADHD, the not being able to stop thinking, it can be a blessing in like fast-paced environments, it can be so exhausting. And I spent a long time in my life just purely angry, and I still get angry. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way that I am. But I think part of it is just learning that although it's not the most pleasant thing, it's just who I am, and turning that anger into something that's more beneficial more than anything, and not judging myself for it, because I didn't choose to be this way. I didn't choose to feel the way that I do, and it's not your fault. It's not a bad thing. We're humans living in a world that isn't meant to be this way. I'll be real. Like, I mean, look at the way that we are. No animal in nature has to pay taxes. No animal has to get a 9 to 5. We're normal humans. We're normal animals, just with slightly more complex brains. Like and I envy some of the wild animals. Like I look at some of these creatures and I'm just like, you're so beautiful. You live such a beautiful life. Like the way that is just so simple. And that's what we humans should strive for. And I feel like getting into jiu-jitsu, getting into martial arts, and just harnessing some of that primal instinct and that primal nature, it's very beautiful, but it's controlled, it's tamed. So it's encompassing both our wild aspects as well as our normal human domestic aspects. So it's just, there's a lot of beauty in what we do. And I'm so grateful that martial arts has affected my life the way that it has. But ADHD is honestly, it's misunderstood. Loads of people just think that we're not, we just, he can't focus, just focus, just do it. It's not that easy, because you don't really get shut off time. It's very difficult for us people, because whilst other people can just go to bed at night, we're replaying things people have said to us over the day. We're replaying constant phrases. It's just like different thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are awful. It's not easy, but at the same time, it's just the way we are. So although it's had an impact in my life, like in quite a serious degree, I've just learned that it's not my fault that I'm this way. And I just try to spread positivity more often now.
I love that. And thank you for sharing your kind of experience and your thoughts, because one of the things you said is about not judging yourself. And I think we have to apply that not judging ourselves to every element of our lives, especially on the jiu-jitsu mats. So when we've kind of been subbed a number of times repeatedly, you know, it's not about judgment. We don't, you know, we can live to fight another match. We can show up again, and you know, it just is the way it is in that moment, and we just keep going.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
And the fact that we persevere says a lot more about us than us losing a match, for example. The fact that we can get through a situation and come back to the mats, that just shows our character.
Absolutely. Resilience is shouting and screaming very loudly in my ear right now. For all of us.
Absolutely.
What do you have coming up? You talked about a holiday, but have you got any matches coming up? What does your presenting kind of future look like?
So we have another event, Quatrolinhas, in January. So that's going to be another great event. I'm so looking forward to that. In terms of fights, it's looking a bit iffy at the moment. I'm possibly scheduled for a surgery on my skull. So I've got a benign tumor at the back of my head. So they just got to get that removed.
Yeah.
So I'm currently just like working through a few health issues. Obviously, I was meant to fight a few weeks ago, but I got concussed. And although it definitely sucked, because this is the hardest I've ever trained. So that disappointment was just immeasurable. It was very disheartening. But at the end of the day, that's just my life. My health comes first. And thank God I get to see another day, because, you know, we only live one life. It's not that deep at the end of the day. So yeah, it's just about moving forward. So right now things are a bit up in the air, but no matter what I do, I'm just looking to push forward and do whatever I can, really.
No, that's incredible, and thank you for sharing. It sounds like you have a challenging kind of health concerns, but you're dealing with it in a very measured way. And I'm hoping you're able to get all the support that you need,
Thank you.
because that's really important, as well as looking after your own health and getting all the support that you need around you. But Quatrolinhas on the 31st of January will be incredibly exciting.
I'm so ready.
Will you be presenting with Gio?
Oh, 100%. Me and Gio, the dynamic duo, we will return, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You guys will be blown away.
I love it. I love it. And will it be another sharp suit, Irfan?
Oh, we'll see. I'll mix it up. I definitely want to just like keep the audience guessing. My drip comes first. Like everyone needs to know. That being said, although I show up at Quatrolinhas, everyone else like at my gym thinks that I look homeless because I have zero fashion sense. Everyone that knows me knows that I have zero fashion sense. I need help picking out my outfits because most of the time I'm rocking up to the gym in the same tracksuits and Crocs. Like I'm just like, here's what it is. That's just what I like to do. I don't really care about the way I look. Sometimes I just look like a peacock, and they're like, "Okay, what are you wearing?" I'm just like, I don't care. Clothes are clothes.
Exactly, they serve a function.
Yeah, exactly. Be grateful I didn't come in naked. Like, come on.
Family show. Irfan, I am so grateful to be able to speak with you, and I wish you all the amazing luck and success with everything, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Quatrolinhas 3, which will be amazing. But how can people follow your journey if they're not already?
Oh, if you're not following already, you can follow my Instagram at Irfan the Wild. So that will probably like pop up here. Editor, do me justice. Thank you very much. But yeah, so that's just my Instagram page where I'll post updates about my MMA journey. I might start posting animal content soon again, just to just throw in my wildlife because I love wildlife. And yeah, no, I do quite a few things. I'm a jack of all trades, so. Good. Just you never know what will be posted next. So just enjoy the journey,
Now, I just heard you pronounce your name differently to the way that I've been pronouncing it throughout this episode. Just correct me. Just correct me.
Irfan the Wild. Don't worry. Look, I don't really mind. People can call me whatever they want. Like I've had some strange pronunciations in the past, like Irfan. Like I haven't even got an A. Well, I do have an A in my name. That I don't even remember what letters are in my own name. I do have an A in my name, but just not at the beginning. So yeah,
love it. Well, apologies. So I failed on the first instance by not getting your pronunciation right. Right, next time, Irfan, I will come and say hello. We will get a selfie at Quatrolinhas 3. Please look after yourself and enjoy your holiday.
And you enjoy yourself and look forward to that next episode. Everyone, watch the next episode. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping a show rating and review. Obviously, very much looking forward to episode 100. Go and check out the socials. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode, which is 100.